Oh, the camera's on.
All right, now Howard Stern has spoken after a video has resurfaced of him in blackface. Now, the video was from a New Year's Eve special back in 1993, and here's what it sounded like.
Oh, hush up. I hate blackface. I just can't get this shit off. Besides, Whoopi done wrote everything I'm going to say here tonight, so it's all right. Ain't that right, you smelly
Now, Howard Stern also told Variety, the ish I did was effing crazy. I'll be the first to admit I won't go back and watch those old shows. It's like, who is that guy? But that was my shtick. That's what I did, and I own it. I don't think I got embraced by Nazi groups and hate groups. They seemed to think I was against them, too. Everybody had a bone to pick with me. And he said I was able to change my approach, able to change my life, and change how I communicated. If I had to do it all over again, would I lampoon Ted Danson, a white guy in blackface? Yeah, I was lampooning him and saying I'm going to shine a light on this. But would I go about it the same way now? Probably not.
We all know I was the craziest motherfucker on radio. You know, I'm excited about gay rights, telling you not to beat up gay people. And I'm excited about the changes that are coming out of Black Lives Matter. Watching that guy choke to death, it's sickening and appalling.
Excuse me. Say the N-word? No! I said it. I say it all the time. There you go. Darkside Chris to be $20. Thank you very much, Darkside Chris. Says, you know, I don't care what anyone says. Even in the past, whatever you did or said, things that were wrong, I always and still watch you because your content always entertains me. Well, thank you, Darkside Chris, for that support. That's a really nice message. I'll openly admit, I know I did fucked up stuff in the past, you know. And that's why if someone says to me, man, Phil, you know, I really hate the fact that 10 years ago you made a Nazi joke and we were playing the Dead Space 2 demo or whatever. Fair enough. That was a really bad thing I did. And that's something that, you know, honestly, you could hold me to task for. That was also 10 years ago, you know. Bill says, I thought your Nazi joke was funny. People are too sensitive. Listen, the thing is about humor or comedy is that it's relative to the person. Some people will find something funny and others will not. They'll find it offensive. And for me, like, I could totally understand why some people found that joke offensive. Completely. Like, I get it. I didn't mean anything by it. I was emulating the Howard Stern show, which I really, really liked back then.
Hey, Robin, what does you call a black rocket scientist?
I don't know.
Whoopi wrote it. Whoopi wrote it.
Because I was still listening to it actively on the radio. And the truth of the matter is, the Howard Stern show was running like the classics, Howard Stern classics. They'd have a whole week where Howard would be off, and he would play all his old shows. And one of the skits he used to do on his old shows that there was a guy who was supposed to be like the last Nazi or something, and he would do this commentary and stuff on the show just like that. And so I basically emulated that on my video, and people got really offended. Like, damn, you know.
We all know I was the craziest motherfucker on radio.
I kind of wish now that at least if I was going to do it, I would have said up front, this is a parody of something Howard Stern did, not that just did it on the fly, and the next thing you know, people were going to, like, crucify me for it, you know? There's another one. Hand Celebratory said, I enjoyed the joke. I see nothing wrong with it. Well, it is what it is. Some people found it very offensive.
Do I think it's stupid for people to be giving out retroactive speeding tickets? Yes, I think it is highly ridiculous to hold people accountable for things they said publicly back in the day because the rules were totally different back then. The speed limit was totally faster and entertainment.
But you can't
Everything
tell people
was edgier.
That's true.
Everything was more risky. Everything was more shocking.
Yeah, but you can't tell people how to feel. You know what I mean? Because like somebody like Taylor, for instance, one of our producers, she's never heard it. So when she heard it for the first time just a second ago, she was like, wow, I didn't know that. You know what I mean? So some people just hear it for the first time and they feel away, you know?
But you got to put things in context. You can't, that was Howard Stern in the early 1990s. You know what I'm saying? It's not like Howard Stern said that yesterday, because if that was the case, and Living Color wouldn't fly now, Chappelle's show might not fly, all the great movies from the 90s wouldn't fly, majority of the music definitely wouldn't fly. Okay, some of your favorite rappers that you love and adore now have used gay slurs and said some wild stuff on records. Okay, it was a totally different time back then. Context matters.
But if somebody hears it now and feels away, they can still feel away. But hey, I'm with you. I mean, it was a different time, a different place.
Context.
I don't need a ginormous audience. I'm happy with the audience I had. You know, would I like it to grow? Sure. But am I okay with the size it is? Absolutely. I'm happy. I'm very happy. Everyone else in the United States is innocent until proven guilty. Me, I'm just guilty even when I'm proven innocent. I'm still guilty. You know? I grew up, like, not being personally offended by any of that stuff at all. You can make fun of being Italian. I don't give a fuck, right? I don't, you know? So then, you know, I make jokes based on stuff I've heard on the Howard Stern show thinking, oh, this is nothing. This is, like, you know, not a big deal. When in reality, you know, there's a ton of people who get offended by that stuff and take it personal. And you know, for me, it's like, that just, it doesn't compute in my mind because I had grown up in a place where it wasn't like that at all. And now, you know, here, I think that was really my first taste of people actually getting offended at something that I said or did, because before then, like, I could basically say or do whatever I wanted and no one was really angry at me for it. But I guess some people legitimately did take offense at those comments that I made. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's correct. I made those jokes because of Howard Stern's edgy jokes. You're absolutely right. It was based off of that character. They had a character on the Howard Stern show who was supposed to be like a retired Nazi. So he would make, I forget what his name was, but basically he was supposed to be like, oh, like Detect the Jew. So they had a segment on the Howard Stern show where they would say like 3 Hollywood celebrities and one of them is secretly Jewish, but they changed their name so you don't know that they're Jewish. So you would have to guess who's really Jewish, and then he would make a bunch of Jewish jokes about him and stuff, you know. Now, Howard Stern is Jewish, so for him to have that kind of stuff on his show, you know what I mean? At least he has a kind of, he has the right, I guess, to make those jokes since him and his whole family are Jewish. I don't, you know, but I didn't understand that. So me making those jokes, now I understand that. Now I'm like, dude, I would never do that. It's so fucking stupid. The bottom line is I also don't need to make those jokes. You know what I mean? Like, I can be entertaining without having to go to that low common denominator of humor anymore. Back then, I was just kind of like grasping at straws.
Eliminate all opposition.
To figure out stuff like, you know, what I should say and do in every video. But I don't do that anymore.
On your go.
So thank you guys for your support. We got a cheer from Kate. She says, what do you think about Roseanne getting canceled? I mean, alright, do you want my real opinion on the situation? First of all, I'm not racist and I hate racism. I hate it. But I do fully acknowledge there are people in this country that are racist and or have an ingrained culture of being prejudiced against people of certain races, okay? I'm not here to tell you if Roseanne is racist or not. I'm not, because I don't know her personally. But what I can tell you is if you follow Roseanne on Twitter, you will see that over the last 4, 5, 6 years, she's had a history of saying these insulting comments towards people of color, all right? Like, she said really messed up stuff on Twitter, okay? Now, here's the thing. She hasn't changed. It's not like Roseanne magically said, oh, all of a sudden I'm a social justice warrior, and now I'm going to get a new show on TV. She's always been this person. If you actually know Roseanne, and you've seen her and followed her, like, she's been like this her whole life. The difference now is that, you know, now we have social media, so when she says shit like that, everyone hears it, and everyone's like, oh, shit, oh, she's actually a racist. You know, back in the day, when Roseanne was a stand-up comic and then she got a television show, you didn't hear that kind of stuff in public, so there was no resonation chamber for her to say stuff like that, right? You know what I mean? So all that being said, here's what I really think the true controversy should be about the whole situation. I completely disagree with her. I am not a racist. I think that the things she says are horrible, okay? But the thing is, she has a right to say them. The real issue here is ABC, all right? ABC, the television company, all right, that decided to give her a television show in 2018. Again, if you look back at Roseanne's Twitter history, you'll see that she's always been like this. She didn't change and all of a sudden start doing the horrible things or saying these horrible things. She's been saying them all along. So why in the flying fuck, if ABC didn't want to put up with that, why on earth would they sign her and recreate her sitcom, right? Make it a mainstream television show that hits #1 in the ratings and then pull the plug because she's saying racist things? She was saying them before. You know what I mean? Like, oh no, I heard that this guy's popular, this guy was popular back in the day, I'm going to give him a television show and do no fucking research whatsoever into it to find out who the person is, right? Give them the show. The show hits #1. Now I'm all upset of stuff that they said online. You know what I mean? So, in all honesty, I mean, yes, of course Roseanne is at fault. But when I read these stories vilifying Roseanne, I'm like, but this is who she always was. So really, the real culprit, the real person at fault in all of this is ABC. Because they're so fucking stupid. They gave her a fucking television show, not knowing who she was, not reading any of her tweets for the past 5 fucking years, and then they decide, oh, now we're going to punish her for it. Well, wait a minute. You're the idiot who gave her the show to begin with. You know, it's your fault. You know what I mean? Sunspock Gallery. I eBay, right? I need money. I need that money. I need my bills. I need money. The electric bill. The internet bill. I need money. Hell!
Attention, all pay pigs.
I need